Well, today the day has arrived. Operation, probably not a great idea, but we're going to do it anyways. Kate and I are going to go see if we can get Grandpa's old Dodge started.
Back down.
And see if we can drive it back down to Phoenix. We got most of our gear. We got a pile of parts right here that we think we should be able to use to be able to get everything running. We're just waiting for Deb. We're gonna load up and start headed up north.
You guys did.
So we got our parts from our parts man there. About ready to head up with all of our stuff. What kind of odds you giving us?
Fair to middling.
Okay, well, we'll see how it works. So stay tuned. So here we are, day 2 of our trip. The first part, getting the title out of Greg's house, went pretty good. We're about ready to head up to Bear Lake, and this freak storm obviously has been dumping some snow here. I hear there's about a couple inches up in Bear Lake, so this is really going to make things interesting.
A lot colder.
A lot colder for sure. So we're gonna head north and kind of see what we kind of get into here for today. We got our truck full of parts and tools, and hopefully we got what we need.
All right, we made about a mile, and we already have low tires. So we're gonna use our little Ryobi air pump the tires a bit, and get some breakfast.
Yeah, it didn't take long before our first breakdown. Unfortunately, it's not on the car we thought we'd have issues with.
I hope.
All right, well, we made it to Logan. Went through quite a few storms to get here. Doesn't look too bad outside right now. Stopped at O'Reilly's here. Got us some more fluids, everything, so we can do the refresh of the truck that we need, hopefully. Next stop, up at the lake. House up there now.
Really?
Yeah.
Bumpy.
This was all dry just a couple days ago.
There's the truck.
Here's what we came for. A lot of snow's melted since Greg sent me a picture. Yeah.
My container's empty.
Yeah, you're just gonna try to get the trailer moved and stuff like that. Well, we made it up here. Let's see if we can get in and get the keys and stuff and figure out what we gotta do.
Yep. Alright. We're gonna start moving things around. The tractor moves that trailer around, eventually pull the Dodge out from the garage and start working on it. We'll get over that.
Well, Operation How Hard Could It Be already is hitting a first few snags. We did get the trailer moved, it had a flat tire, but the tractor, the problem we have is the tractor's stuck. Well, it's not really stuck. It's out of fuel. It is in a bit of a muddy part where that new rain came. And the problem we're having is the Dodge sunk into it too. So we got to come up with plan B, which may be fix the other tractor that we needed to, and we'll go with that. We'll update you as we go. Well, it's out of its slumber. We got the tractor out. I just figured out how to put the front wheel drive in 4-way, so we were able to pull it out. The truck obviously has seen better days. A few things here is it looks like the last time it was registered was in 07. And in case anyone was curious, we did find a date code on the tires that said 2005.
Good old 20-year-old tires.
So the tires are 20 years old right now. And yeah, we had one tire that was locked up. It finally came loose. Turns out the parking brake was on a little bit. It's the one tire obviously that doesn't have mud all over it. And we'll see if we can get it turned around and pushed in so we can start working on it now, bit by bit. All right, after a bit and probably a muddy mess out there. Yeah, the truck is in the garage. We're gonna start working on it, see what we can do. Change out the fuel lines and kind of go from there. Hopefully we can maybe try to get this thing to fire and smoke a little bit today.
Get it done.
Cade's underneath trying to reroute the fuel lines and get out that old copper pipe that was giving problems.
I'm trying to get out of the copper line right now.
Okay. We got
I got it out.
battery replaced. We got a whole rat's nest of stuff on top of the motor we're gonna have to clear out. Battery did crank over, so things are kind of looking up right now. We got that copper out, so hopefully here in a bit we may be able to try to fire it up.
All right, here's our attempt at just fit new gas line and battery and see if she starts. To be fair, the bowl has to fill up too.
Well, is the filter show on?
Yeah, the filter has gas in it.
All right, well, he's pumping.
Keep pumping. Heck yeah! Probably open the garage door.
Well, let's start with that.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Before we carbon monoxide ourselves too much.
Yep.
All right.
We have a running pickup
We
truck.
have a firing truck. Excellent.
There we go.
Perfect.
Just some fuel lines, new battery, new tank switcher, and there we go.
Yeah, we still need to do the other maintenance though. So.
Yeah, but at least she runs now.
The big part is that it fired on its own.
We have done everything. Truck runs, it moves. We checked the diff and it was bone dry. We've added a quart of fluid. We didn't have enough, but ever was closed. So there's enough fluid in it. We're gonna try to drive to Montpelier, go get something to eat, get a hotel, and we'll pick back up tomorrow.
Yeah, still got a few more things to wrap up, but all in all, it's maybe looking good.
Yep, and it's staying cold.
Yep.
Too cold.
Well, so far, if someone called about 100 feet and then another 500 feet, maybe your guys are accurate so far. But we're back on a moving. Not sure if Cade knows that you got to double foot drive this thing for a while till it warms up, because it is a little temperamental when it's cold out, especially at 28 degrees right now. And the thing probably hasn't ran for 5-6 years since it was last registered. Running on our 20-year-old tires. Oh, and we're done again.
So quick update, we started driving it, we got about a quarter mile down the road, and every so often it'll cut out. Like the engine will just die with the pullover to stop. So we're gonna try to take it just back up and try to figure out what's wrong with it tomorrow. Second update, we've looked underneath the truck and the transfer case is loose. So we're gonna try to try to lift it back and figure out what we're gonna do. Well, we have made it to Montpelier, as you can tell by the big M on this thing.
Yep.
And the Yellowstone Junction Giant.
I've never seen that before, but it's pretty cool, I guess.
Sure. The
We're
motel
staying
out.
here at the Super 8
Yep.
in busy Montpelier tonight.
Yep. And the town is popping.
We
But
had a few setbacks tonight. We will maybe, once we get settled, explain that a little bit more, but right now we're tired, so.
yep. So.
Okay.
Well, it's now the morning of Wednesday. We have a little bit of game plan set up. We're gonna go find a parts store, get U-joints, gear oil, anything else we need, and go try and get that truck running.
We already hit the Ranch Hand for breakfast. You can't come to Montpelier without stopping at the Ranch Hand. Didn't videotape that, but it was still delicious and 2 bigger portions like normal.
Yep. That's good.
Well, as you can see, as we brought it back from its test ride last night, I forgot to shut the key off. So we already have a dead battery. So we're trying to get it jumped so we can pull it back in the shop, start fixing the U-joints, try to figure out what's going on with the transfer case. And FYI, the hubs were locked in for whatever reason. The last time Grump ever drove it, I guess, he just had them locked in. So that wasn't helping any issues either.
All right. Well, we got the new U-joints on that short axle, and then filled up the diff fluid, and so we're basically ready to go. We're gonna go grab some drinks, grab some more gas for this baby, and we're gonna see if we can drive her down to Montpelier.
Little side project here. I got a new carburetor and fuel pickup to put on this tractor, the 8A, because I guess Greg said the fuel is not really flowing good or anything like that. So we're gonna put on some new parts here, see if that'll help it out. We're also gonna see about replacing the filler with a new one too, since that one is pretty old and corroded. Well, here we are. We are currently working on the old tractor. Carburetor is expertly removed. We're gonna put on this shiny brand new one here. Hopefully that should help us performance. And then new Schrader valve. So we got a new float in there. Gas is flowing through it. The problem was the old one was so rusted, none of the gas was flowing through the top of it, and it was just plugged up. So that was what was causing the bulk of the issues. But we got that new float on, and new carburetor sitting on. Putting some gas in it. We'll see if this will fire up. Well, the old tractor fired up pretty decent. Sounds pretty good. good news is we got the transfer case bolted back up, so I think we're good there. We do see where we did blow a U-joint from the half shaft, so pretty bad. We decided to pull the front drive shaft off the front so it's not even on, so we don't have to worry about the four-wheel drive or transfer case or anything being in the wrong gear. But we still got to fix the U-joint, and then still need to address some fueling issues. It looks like the car may need to be rebuilt. Well, after the second repairs, it'll still pull out, but we'll see what the actual speed stuff does. Yeah. Oh yeah, we forgot to tighten the belt.
We're about 20 minutes in. We're gonna drive through Everton, whatever, I can't remember the name of it, somewhere place in Wyoming. The truck is running. We're cruising at 65, and I mean, it's noisy, but it's an old truck, so they're not terrible noises. The noises I'm worried about. Here we're going. Alright guys, we've made it to Evanston, Wyoming.
We have crossed state lines, gassing up at Maverick just because we don't know the fuel range of the truck, but it's been going pretty good actually.
Yeah, so our last stretch on to Provo or Highland?
Well, down to
we'll
Provo,
get to Utah.
and then we'll get in.
We'll get down to Provo. Well, just keep going. Alright guys, we're in Highland, Utah right now. We've been having some problems. We think if we do a carb rebuild, that will get a bit more power and a bit more reliability on the car as we drive back down to Phoenix. We've also been having some gas leaking from the auxiliary tank, so I'm going to drop that real quick. Maybe blow out the line because it hasn't been feeding either, and we'll see what's up with that, where it's leaking from. But yeah, we'll get on with that.
All right, so the truck is ready to go. We're getting ready to head on out. It's Sunday. It's actually running pretty good after we rebuilt the car. Kate got the car rebuilt. We had to drop the tank again. And hopefully it stopped leaking. Should be good. However, part of the issue is I've gotten pretty sick. So it was decided that I wasn't able to ride with them. So Kate's gonna have a new co-pilot.
Hi there.
For this epic road trip. And I'm gonna have to ride in something comparable to the Dodge. So we do have a kind of support vehicle now, but I think we're gonna make it all right.
I don't think I had it.
Well, we're here, almost to Beaver. We heard a loud boom, pulled over to the side road, turned it off, and now it won't crank. So we're gonna try to figure out what's up with that, and whether or not it's the end of the line for the truck. All right, we actually got her running again. The problem was the transmission didn't realize it was in park, so it wouldn't run the starter. But she's running now, so we're gonna try to get her to Beaver. Well, we made about 100 feet more, and here's what happened. There's no longer drive shafts, so that's fine. Lost it somewhere down over there. All right, guys, we made it home. It's about 10:30. Got the trailer parked right next to the house, but it's in Arizona.
It's been a long week.
For him especially, but we did it. It's here.
Well, everyone, the truck is actually down in Phoenix now. It's off the trailer. We figured we didn't do too good at the very end, you know, recapping everything, because basically the truck had to get trailered the rest of the way to Phoenix. So we're going to kind of explain what kind of happened and progressed there a little bit, kind of fill in some of the blanks.
So we left Highland and started driving down. We're gonna head down through Beaver, back down to Phoenix. As we were driving, first we stopped at Fillmore, and we calculated our rough miles per gallon as about 6.
Yeah, it made it to Fillmore, no problem. Actually went a little quicker. The initial plan was to take Highway 89 pretty much all the way down, keep the speeds down and stuff, but since we had a, I guess you could say a chase vehicle, and Amy needed to stop at Beaver, we decided, well, we'll just stay on the freeways and head down. So, you know, made it to Fillmore, no problem. Kate and my dad, you know, headed back off. How was it really running, you know, down the freeways?
It was running super good because we I had rebuilt the carb and fixed the fueling issue with the secondary tank. So it was running good. Just
Well, a lot better than it has in the last few years,
better.
for sure, right?
Yeah, it actually had some get up and go. Not a lot, but it had some. But as we were driving down, just a little bit outside Beaver, we heard this bang. So I pulled over, looked at everything kind of roughly, real quick, and didn't see like anything was super wrong. Got the truck started again, headed back down, and not about 100 yards.
Yeah, we were starting to, you know, load it on the trailer at that point because it didn't want to, you know, crank anymore. Turns out the transmission didn't know where neutral or park was for the starter, so that seemed to be the issue.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we didn't really verify or find what the initial bang that, you know, made them pull over was. So we kind of figured that part out, you know, in the next couple hundred yards when they were off the road again.
Yeah, we were driving just past a semi, heard a louder bang, and then lost all power to wheels. Pulled over really quick, found that the half shaft had fallen out. My grandpa went and looked for the bits of it, only found half of it, the spline, just the spline shaft. So we load it on the trailer. We drive into Beaver, and while we get into Beaver with the truck on the trailer, we get pulled over. Apparently, the other half of the half shaft had flown and hit another car.
Big 1-ton dually Dodge.
Yeah, hit another Dodge. Scraped the hood. Apparently hit the windshield, didn't crack it. And just kind of flew out. So had to stop for a bit, fill out an accident report.
Yeah, the officer initially thought that, you know, they thought we had blown a tire.
Yeah, and a
which
piece of tire.
ironically, he's like, well, all your tires are up. I'm like, yeah, we didn't lose that. We lost the little drive shaft that left the chat, and that's what, you know, caused some of that damage. So, but you know, we're on the trailer now, basically, you know, dragging it the rest of the way back down to Phoenix. We get down to Phoenix pretty late that night, and you know, kind of take some inventory. So we have half of the little drive shaft that goes from the transmission to the transfer case. We don't have the other half, and it's kind of been a pain to try to find. Finally found that part. We were able to get it on. The truck can move off of the trailer under its own power again. We did some other inspection, and we realized one of the issues with the poor fuel consumption was the carburetor itself is leaking like a sieve too. So we're kind of surprised we didn't burn the truck down as well during some of this.
Yeah, but made it home. We finally did get another bit of that half shaft, installed it, and drove it off the trailer. So it runs and drives good.
Well, things.
All right.
Yeah, it runs decent, but we still got to get it to pass emissions down here.
Yeah.
We're still probably looking at another carburetor. We need to get some tires because obviously they're terrible. Once we can get that and pass, then maybe we can finally get this thing fully registered. You know, using that as a kind of like as a little daily driver till it gets a little hot down here, and then we'll have to figure out that next point. You know, but other than that, you know, how do you rate the whole trip?
Well, we got about 400 miles out of this old farm truck. So I said it's pretty good. It was
more than where we thought.
I
mean, it was more than I thought it was going to be. Honestly, you know, the night before we were going to leave Bear Lake, I would have bet against that this thing was never even going to get out of, never was going to leave, that we were going to have problems. Miraculously, we were able to get things fixed enough that it worked, and you know, ran down the Highland pretty decent. You know, we didn't have any issues.
Ran up to Salt Lake too.
But
I
then,
drove it up there.
you know, we ran into problems down in. It didn't help that we left some parts and some of the parts that we needed in the lake garage up in Bear Lake. So those are sitting up there still. We'll probably be sitting there for a long time. But
So we head up there again.
But you know, the night before we were going to be leaving Highland, I would have almost bet that, you know, we might not have taken it again just because it was just running so rough and not really wanting to do anything again.
Yeah.
So, you know, surprisingly enough, you know, kind of worked again. You know, it's been kind of hit and miss. We've found, you know, some things. We got vacuum lines we got to go through, a whole new carburetor. There's some things that's definitely still, the brakes are still really soft. There's still a long ways to go to get this thing where it's like a
Decent, reliable, semi-reliable.
Semi-reliable truck at this point, but it was an adventure and it was fun. So, but yeah, made it farther than we did, but we did end up having to trailer the last part. So I was very thankful that Amy and my dad did run up last minute with the trailer, because we definitely were going to need it. I think honestly, if we weren't doing highway speeds or freeway speeds, that half shaft probably would have lasted a little bit longer being on Highway 89. But that means then instead of going out of Beaver, we would have probably gone out in, you know, Kanab or Page, where we really get into some sparse, middle of nowhere help places that, you know, could have been interesting. So maybe it was for the best that that's where we finally broke down, but it all worked out.
Yeah, just down here and.
So there's probably a few more pictures that we'll throw up that we took, but you know, or they've kind of been in the thing. But all in all, it was a fun adventure. I'm glad we kind of did it.
It was good. It was a lot of fun.
All right.
There you go. I'll get that edited.